are in listen-only mode.
Welcome everyone, this is Drayton Boylston and I'm coming to you from 8,000 feet up in the Rocky Mountains, and welcome all of you to the Coaching Crucible, our first session. And I want to say that everybody's coming in, getting into the system. If you have any questions, just send us an instant message. You'll see at the bottom of your console there. And we'd be happy to help you in any way that we can. Again, my name is Drayton Boylston. I'm with the Executive Coaching University, and this is the Coaching Crucible Session 1. And Gary and I are ecstatic to have you here. We have been, humbled and amazed by the reaction that we have gotten to this, and we'll tell you a little bit about how this all came about. We have just started spreading the word about this, and we have hundreds of people who have signed up. This has not been a massive marketing campaign or anything. It's more, we're doing this public service program. We'd love for you to attend. Please tell your friends about it. And we have literally hundreds of people that have joined us and will continue to join us as we proceed in the coming months. We have committed to doing this program the third Tuesday of every month at 4 o'clock Eastern, as you all know. And we're going to do it for as long as you want us to. We're here to be of service. You're going to hear us say this a lot. We are here for you. We're not here to sell anything, as we said on the landing page that you went to. There's no pitch zone. This is a public service endeavor that Gary Henson and I put together to serve our industry, the coaching industry that we love so much. And we will be tackling anything and everything that you would like for us to. We want this to be very interactive. We are going to discuss some things for the first 45 minutes. The typical format will be 45 minutes. Gary and I will discuss some things, ping-pong it back and forth, and talk about some issues that need to be talked about, need to be discussed in our industry that other people we have found are not tackling. We're going to hit them head on. And then the last 15 minutes, we will be taking questions from you. So as we get into our discussions, and this is completely unscripted, we have some topics we want to address, and we're just going to do this back and forth and speak from our hearts. And that's what Gary and I both bring to this, is just that servant's mindset and coming from a heartfelt place to help you guys in any way that we can. And part of that is taking your questions. We want this to be interactive. So the last 15 minutes, we want to entertain any questions you have. We will have, you'll see when you get the, we're going to record all these sessions, and we're going to post those in a community center. We call it our Coaches Village. And you can post comments there and engage in discussions, and we'll be very active in that as well. And just want to make sure that we give you as many avenues as possible to interact and to get your questions answered. That's really what we're here to do, and to talk about the things that are maybe left unsaid at this point. So thanks to all of you that are here live with us. As you noted with some of the messages we sent out, we were caught a little off guard with so many people wanting to attend, so we expanded our system, had to shift over to our core bigger system to accommodate people, and we just really appreciate you making that shift. And if you're listening in after the fact, make sure you check those invitations that we sent out to you to get into the webinar system. Today, and for maybe the next 2 or 3 sessions, this is going to be kind of a static audio session. We're not going to do video. We're not going to have too much on the screen. We want to make sure that you listen intently and that we expand as we need to going forward. So that will be an option. We're going to just see what you guys need and then go from there as we move forward. So the first thing that I'd like to do is, again, say thank you. We're glad that you're here. We've got so many people on with us live now, and so many others will be listening in after the fact. And we just feel very privileged that you're spending this time with us, and we'll do our best to deliver for you too. So the first thing I'd like to do is just, for those of you who don't know me, give you just a little thumbnail sketch about me, and then I'm going to introduce Gary Henson, the CEO and founder of BusinessCoach.com, and we'll go from there and let you know a little bit about why we're doing all this. So my name is Drayton Boylston. I'm the founder and CEO of the Executive Coaching University, and also I'm the CEO of the Rescue Institute. And I have a passion for coaching, for teaching, for being a servant leader. And we have been training people now in 36 countries, thousands of people in 36 countries for years and years. And I love this industry. And I call myself a recovering CEO, and I was blessed to go up through the ranks of corporate America and be a Fortune 100 executive and do a startup inside a big multinational, and we took it from 0 to 100 million in 3 years, and then I went on to be the CEO of a former Xerox company. And I bring that experience to this coaching world and this realm, and I feel like I've almost led 2 lives now, having that life and this life of servitude in the coaching industry. So I'm very passionate about this industry. I love it. I want to see us lead with integrity and passion, and that's why we're doing what we're doing. So with that, I'm going to introduce my good friend Gary Henson. Gary is, again, the founder of BusinessCoach.com. And Gary, I think it's going to be so interesting when we tell people kind of how this came about and how you and I felt that we may even be competitors when we first started talking, and how that kind of evolved from there. So I'm going to turn it over to you, Gary, and I look forward to doing this with you.
Well, thank you, Drayton. Great introduction. I'm really excited about what we've got created here. And can you hear my voice all right?
Yeah, we're good. We're good, Gary.
Okay, good. Okay, good. I was getting a little bit of echo there for a minute. So, and I think people will be fascinated by our story and fascinated about what we bring to the table and what we can help people do in their careers and in establishing a much better foundation for this industry and where the industry can go and what's possible. But I'm a recovering serial entrepreneur. Just short of 25 years ago, I met a gentleman by the name of Jim Selman, and I asked him about consulting and what was possible in working with people and making a difference in entrepreneurs' lives. And after a little bit of time, he knew me and got to know me. He said, "You don't really want to be a consultant." And I said, "Well, why, Jim?" And he said, "Because I believe what you're talking about would be much better served if you would be a business coach." And I thought to myself, wow, how does one become a business coach? So I asked him that. He lent me some of his materials, mentored me a little bit, and introduced me to some others who were pioneers in the business coaching industry. And again, this is almost 25 years ago that I met Jim, and they had been coaching and working with Fortune 500 companies. Interestingly enough, Brayden, one of them was Xerox. And I didn't get into business coaching. Business coaching got into me. I quickly got very, very addicted to the process of making a difference for entrepreneurs that were struggling and making a difference for people that knew a lot about making money and in some cases even knew a lot about working with their employees, working with people, but yet were struggling at some level in their personal or business life, and I could help them make a contribution. I could make a difference for those people. About 15 years ago, I started thinking, well, wait a minute, we can teach this skill set, help people in the domain of coaching and teaching them business coaching if, in fact, people would be willing to sit in a room with me for 3 or 4 days and actually learn the process of how to turn their passion, their interest in coaching, understand how to become a coach, understand that they need a methodology to work with in the business coaching arena, understand how to work with organizations that have lots of employees, and then we teach them how to market themselves and build a business model around that. And like you, we teach that in 36 countries around the world, and it's probably a different 36 than the 36 that you guys teach in, Drayton. So that's a little bit about me, and I just want to welcome everybody and let everybody know how excited I am to have this experience of having a dialogue with you thought-provoking conversations about this industry called coaching.
Oh, Gary, thank you, and thanks for doing this, and thanks for playing with me. I mean, that's what this is all about in terms of having fun doing this and getting a lot of good information out there to people. And I think people would love to hear, Gary, how this came about. And when we tell stories like this, folks, we want you to kind of put yourself in our shoes too and think about things that you may be able to do. One of the things we'll ask you to do is think big, think bigger, think in terms of serving more people and coming at these situations like Gary and I encountered when we first met each other and see what the possibilities are. Because we came at this as, what can we do for the industry? Not what can we do to grow our business or to compete or all these zero-sum game things that some people may approach these things with. It was more, what can we do from a public service standpoint to help our fellow coaches and our industry really rise to the level that it should? And that's really what we want to convey here. And Gary, you want to tell the story? You want to start that story about what happened in San Diego when we were there with many of the people in the coaching industry and leadership positions?
Well, yeah, I'll be happy to. And I'll start off, and you can finish it up. How's that, Braden?
That sounds great.
Good, because I'll probably leave some things out, and you can fill in the blanks for what I left out. When Drayton and I met early this year, for the first time face-to-face, we were meeting with some other individuals inside the industry, and Drayton and I quickly became friends, and we're excited about the fact that after years of talking on the phone and sharing our information about the industry, we could finally meet one another. And on my side, I can't speak for Drayton, but there was a little apprehension, the possibility of maybe there being some competition, he being in the executive coaching training industry and me being in the business coach training industry. A lot of people see those words as synonymous, or that there's overlap or lots of similarities in those two distinctions of coaching. So I was a little apprehensive at first, and then once I got to meet you, Drayton, and understood his passion for the industry and helping people, we started thinking of, instead of are we competitors, how can we work together? How can we help each other? How can we help make the industry better? How can we work with the same types of people and help them understand the similarities and the differences in coaching and executive coaching and business coaching? So we started looking at the opportunity and the possibility of creating a world where we could not only coexist but support each other and make a difference for anybody who wanted to be on a call like this, get their questions answered, and to help the industry gain clarity and understanding about some of these issues that just never get talked about, or issues that get promoted by people that maybe pretend to know what they're talking about. So we started noodling out what it would look like and how we would do this and where we would start. And here we are today with session number 1. Back to you, Drayton. Pick it up from there, please.
Yeah, you know, one of the things that really my takeaway from when Gary and I first started chatting about this is that we are both pretty frustrated with what's going on in the industry. We've been in this industry decades, not years, decades, mm-hmm. and we love it so passionately, and we have seen it get to this point where we're very uncomfortable. And we'll be talking about that, and we'll talk about how the industry has shifted and how we need to get it back on the right track, quite frankly. And that's why when we started talking, I first looked at Gary and I said, Gary, you know, it's time for us to stand up lightning rods. And that's what we need. And to me, that is what leadership is all about, speaking the truth, saying the unsaid, and leading by example. And that's what we want to do with this, and that's why we want to engage all of you in these thoughtful conversations. And when Gary and I approached this, so many people came to me and said, well, why are you doing something with Gary? Because he's your competition. And I said, oh, no. Gary is not the competition. First of all, it's not a zero-sum game. He doesn't take things and they, are takeaways from us. It just doesn't work that way. It's a big world, and we can share it. But what we found is that common ground of passion for this industry that we really needed to make sure we maximize where we were in that industry to make sure that we helped it in every way that we could. So we put our personal business stuff behind us and said, let's just get out there. Let's be the light and and let's talk about these things that need to be discussed. And what really gets us, too, is that all of you on this call have that servant mindset. You've got that heartfelt desire to serve other people. And we want to make sure that we are respecting that in every way possible, and the care and custody of that is a big deal to us. And when we see other people in the industry not approaching this in a similar fashion and using their bully pulpits to do other things and just further their cause and not the industry, we take issue with that. And we want to make sure that we are doing everything that we can to help you serve more people through coaching and to do what you're put on this planet to do. And Gary,
Uh-oh. I can't hear you, Drayton. Somebody's muted somebody here. Are you back? I hear noises in the background there, Drayton, but I don't hear you. Okay, I'm going to assume that Drayton has somehow got disconnected from us, and I'm going to continue on talking a little bit about the definition of business coaching and what I learned almost 25 years ago, and again from the authors, the inventors, the pioneers of this industry that had created, without knowing it, a worldwide phenomenon at that time, which was called coaching, business coaching. And it was coaching if it was done in a one-on-one setting with two individuals, one person coaching another, or business coaching if it were done in an organizational fashion, that is to say, in a corporate setting. And in those days, the organization by the name of Transformational Technologies was working with companies that typically had hundreds of employees. So by bringing transformation and change management and organizational development into large organizations, they could make a major shift and major results inside of the organization by bringing coaches in and introducing a special type of leadership at first to the leaders of the organization. And then later on, it filters down into everyone inside of the organization.
And Gary, I think that brings up a really interesting point in terms of the whole genesis of coaching. So many people think of coaching as Thomas Leonard and going back maybe 8-10 years, and then some of the people that have come to the forefront since then. And it really has in its infancy, it goes back decades.
Yes,
and that's
absolutely.
one of the things that we want to impress upon everyone is that coaching's been around a long time. I did it decades ago. Gary's been done it decades ago, and it really is steeped in such a rich heritage that is not discussed very much nowadays. So many people think of just life coaching and personal coaching, and a lot of the training and the training institutions that have sprung up over the years come from that perspective. And it is a very different world than where we come from and what we do, yet so many people are confused. They don't know the difference between business coaching, executive coaching, organizational development, and where does life coaching fit into all these things. So that's where we want to clear the air about some of these things and make sure that these definitions are ones that we all agree with and we understand what they mean, because ultimately this confusion is leading to confusion in the marketplace. Mm-hmm. And so the people we're out there looking to serve, they're confused. I talk to business people all the time, and they go, well, you know, what's this deal? Is it life coaching? Is it executive coaching? Is it business coaching? Is it coaching entrepreneurs? You know, what is all this? It seems like there's so many things, so many facets to the industry that we've created this confusion in the marketplace.
Absolutely, you're spot on, Drayton. That's a good place for us to start today, talking about that.
So, Gary, let's talk about the difference between business coaching and executive coaching. Let's start with that, and then we'll go into the life coaching piece and some of these other things and really differentiate them.
Perfect.
So how do you look at business coaching? Because you and I, that's when we first started talking, I remember we said, okay, let's figure out exactly what we do with what we have and who are we here to serve. And that was a great point of reflection for me when we first started our discussions.
Mm-hmm. Would you like me to carry that on for a minute?
Yeah, Gary. Tell everybody what you see business coaching as.
Business coaching is a very
unique relationship
between a client and the coach,
where the coach's role is to get the client to see something new and different for the first time that's going to make a major impact or an impact on their business and personal life.
Mm-hmm.
The role of the coach is to facilitate this change, this transformation, not in the person's knowledge base, but in the person's attitude or direction toward their business, so that they see there's something new and different for the first time. That's the role of the coach. The role of the client is to be open to change and be willing to be coached or follow the lead of the coach in a direction that's going to make an impact on their business and their personal life.
Mm-hmm.
And again, this is done through the process of transformation. In other words, change or healthy change, not for the purpose of just changing, but for the purpose of facilitating increased or quality inside that organization.
Mm-hmm. Boy, and Gary, that brings up a huge point for me in terms of who we should be coaching to. And this comes up in a lot of our programs where people are brought in to fix people. And what we know is that you should never engage if somebody brings you in to quote-unquote fix someone. You've got a remedial executive, or you've got this person that needs to change according to someone else. And what we know is that in order to, and I love that word transformation, transformational is such a powerful word. In order to transform, people have to be in a place personally where they're ready, willing, and able to change. And when you're brought in to so-called fix someone, that's a prescriptive thing that is mandated by someone else, and that is not healthy. We want to work with people of their own choosing that are enlightened to the point where they get from a level of awareness they need to make changes. and they're willing to put in the hard work to do so. And it's just one thing, because we know there are a lot of coaches that are, and I'm going to put the word out there, desperate. You need that client. You'll take any engagement because you've got to pay the light bill this month. And what we know is that we want you to be in a confident place where you are getting your message out there to the level that people will find you. They'll want to work with you, and you don't have to take these engagements that are fix-ems. And that is such a recipe for challenges, Gary, as I see it, that we're not here to fix anyone. We're to help people facilitate that transformational change, whether it's in a business or life coaching or executive coaching realm. We're at the central nature of what coaching is that transformational piece to help people who have that level of awareness and enlightenment to the point where they know they want to change.
And that's beautifully put, Drayton. Can you hear me clearly?
Yes, absolutely, Gary.
Okay, good. I apologize to everyone. I've been switching headsets and systems and volumes here. I was getting a tremendous echo.
Yeah, this is much better now, Gary. I think we're in good shape.
Yeah, I've got it. I think I finally got it down here, so that things are better. One of the things that's really critical about our audience to understand, Drayton, is the reason why people don't need fixing is that they're not broken. And this is one of these myths that we need to get on the table right now. People inherently aren't broken. And when I talked about coaching a few moments ago, saying the role of the coach and the role of the client, notice I didn't say fixing or forcing or even change for the sake of change, but it's healthy change to have someone understand clearly that they are not broken and that they just need some different information or something to help them shift from where they are to where they need to be, not because they're broken, not because there's something wrong. Nothing's wrong, but because there's an opportunity that they have a blindness towards.
Yes.
And when we can come from that place, and again, somebody can say they're broken or say, I need to fix this, or I need help with that, or I have a dysfunctional employee. That's okay from the client standpoint if that's their viewpoint about where they are. But they also need to understand, and this is a very delicate issue, particularly for new coaches, understand that if we can help them see things differently, that it may not be the employee, it may be them that needs to shift.
Oh, you're going to get a big hear from me on that. And that's what's so beautiful about this work, folks, is what Gary just said, that so many times when you work with an individual, you'll find out that it's things around them that just from an organizational standpoint or from a family dynamic standpoint or friends, you name it, there are other things going on. And what we do is help people see the big picture. What we do is help people, as coaches, help people see in that mirror with no fog on it. And we talk about this all the time. Help these individuals hold up the mirror to themselves and for the first time see themselves as other people see them. And if we can do that, whether in the business context or life coaching context or any other realm, we have done our job. We're not doing the work for them. Let's get that out there. We don't do the work for people. We simply help them help themselves by accelerating their level of awareness. And Gary, I think it's so important that as coaches, we celebrate every single individual on this planet and where they are on their journey. We celebrate everyone. No one, I love what you said, no one is broken. There is no such thing. We as individuals are simply on different places and different journeys. And we, as coaches, need to bring that mutual humanistic respect to everyone that we work with or that happens to hear our message. We're not here to fix anyone. We're here to help individuals that are ready, willing, and able to take that next step forward to accelerate their level of awareness during this journey.
Well stated. Well stated. And you know, it's so easily stated in the quote, when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change.
Yes, yes.
And inside of that quote, notice that there's no inference to anything being broken, wrong, or needs fixing. It's just a question of changing your viewpoint. As I say to so many employers, or have my coaches say to new clients at the outset of the relationship, the employee is not your enemy. And you need to look at it that they can be your best resource when you learn how to leverage them and create a relationship where it's win-win.
Yes, and Gary, I think that's such a vital point for people to grasp, especially moving forward, that whether we work with employers or nonprofit organizations or the work that you do individually as a life coach, the transition that's taking place right now worldwide in a business context is that by 2050, 70% of the people on this planet are going to be free agents. And employers, if they don't get this enlightenment soon, they're going to be saying goodbye to their best A players very quickly. We know for a fact that 51% of the A players, the top business people in the world, are actively looking for another job now. 75% of all employed people in North America wish they had a different job. A recent Gallup poll, 80% of the individuals surveyed said they never used their greatest gifts at work. 80%. So as coaches, we need to help those individuals make the transitions that they need to. If you're a life coach or a career coach, help those individuals get to that place where there's a values alignment with who they are as individuals and who they are in the business context as well. And no matter the work that you do in the coaching spectrum, we can all work together to help individuals use their greatest gifts at work, to help employers understand that their greatest asset is walking out the door every single night, and to help these individuals feel fulfilled and on purpose when they get out of bed in the morning.
Absolutely well put, and that again goes back to, it's not a question of broken or need fixing. It's talking about, what we're talking about is healthy change, relationships, and communication. These are the tools of a coach. And if I could slightly segue, stay on topic, but slightly segue into, I have a little bone to pick with the industry, those that are teaching that coaching is no more than asking questions. I want to go on record right now as not only that coaching is way more than asking questions. That's a very small part of it. But I actually was looking at a brochure. I have a brochure from Transformational Technologies, one of the very first business coaching companies. This brochure is dated 1988.
Wow. That's great. That's great. It's
And
yellow, I bet, Gary.
yeah, and it's yes, it is. It's got that shade of yellow to it, and it talks about what's not known as drilling people with questions, but it talks about an inquiry, Drayton. In other words, it's the inquiry of, where are you in your cycle of your life, of your business, or for the, just for the personal coaches, where are you now and where would you like to be? But let's be clear about where you are now, not by drilling somebody with questions, but let's get a couple questions answered and look at, definitively where you are. So if you're a career coach, for example, where you are now is making $80,000 a year, and you've been with a company for 3 years. And where would you like to be? At $200,000, and you're 1 year short of getting your MBA, or 1 year short of graduating from college, or getting some postgraduate degree or whatever, and you'd like to make X, Y, Z dollars. Okay, so what time frame would you like to do that in? And how can the coach support you in achieving your goals? Nothing broken, nothing fixed, needs fixing, and no asking questions till a person is absolutely exhausted. Yes, you need to ask some questions to get the conversation rolling, but it's more about not asking questions, but it's the inquiry of where are you, and then looking at the next phase, which is what's possible. What can we see that's possible, or even what's not possible, that we can set up for a goal for you that you can work towards, and have an accountability partner support you into staying on track to achieve your, not my goals, the coach, your goals as the client, to get from point A to point B in the shortest, most powerful amount of time that you can get that done.
Well, Gary, I think you hit on one of the most important distinctions that has been buried for years, and we're zealots about it and evangelize about it in everything that we do, and that is there is so much more to the work that we do beyond just coaching. We call it being a trusted advisor, being a mastermind, and folks, we're here to tell you that it's so much more than you may have learned in a particular coaching program where, as Gary said, it's all about questions, and you can't ever do anything beyond the questions. You can't follow your intuition. You can't help people accelerate quicker by being a mentor at times, being a friend, being a counselor, being all these things, and I say counselor in a non-therapeutic way, of course, but it's more being a 360-degree individual that is there to serve this person that is in front of you. And that means so much more than what most people think what coaching is. And we need to have this new definition of what coaching is, because in the old, the life coaching and those schools of life coaching, they tell you you can't do anything but ask questions. And I will tell you, in the business context, you would have an executive wringing your neck in about 2 sessions if you use that. And is that true, Gary?
And justifiably so. I mean, a few questions to get you started is the beginning. And now you opened up the other. I'm going to bounce it back in your direction. We couldn't have rehearsed this any better had we rehearsed, Drayton. The other thing is, it's not what you do as a coach, it's who you are being.
Yes.
If you came to this call today and you wanted to learn something and get some really, really powerful insights, it's not what you do as a coach, although you do some things and you can help some people, some of the things you can do for them and with them. But it's who you're being as a coach that's going to make the difference for them.
Yes.
Being coming from the place, as my wife says, could you be a little bit more intimate sometimes with the kids and I? Can you be a little bit more spontaneous from time to time? You can't do spontaneous, Drayton. You can't be authentic.
That's right. We're 15 minutes tonight. We're going to be spontaneous.
Yeah. You need to be that person for the client. Be a stand for them to get their, THEIR, their results for their goals, their vision, their future, and keep them on that track. And who you're being is a trusted advisor.
Yes.
Who you're being is their coach. And if we put this in a health environment, Drayton, some people can relate to this example. If every year I'm making a New Year's resolution to lose those 20 unwanted pounds, and every year I tell my wife, this is the year, and by March I've dropped my membership to the health club, that is if I even went as far as to get a membership to the health club, and my wife says, I told you so. You're wasting more time and money. You shouldn't have made that New Year's resolution knowing that you weren't going to keep it. I can fool myself and fool my wife by saying, okay, I'll get a personal trainer and I'll pay that person $500 a month or more to meet me at the gym. They don't do the work. They're not going to get on the Stairmaster. They're not going to lift weights. They're not going to do wind sprints. They're going to be there for me, and they're going to hold me accountable. They're going to be a stand for me using certain equipment at certain times and certain days. And the key here is the more that I pay somebody to do that, the more investment that I have in that process, and the more likely I am to get results.
Mm-hmm. You know, Gary, so much of that, all of it resonated with me, and I think one of the important points that we want to impress on everyone is that the being part of coaching is central to everything, and we call it the purity of intention. So you've got the right purity of intention when you work with people and you're being with them. And folks, here's a huge point that seems to be just masked at this point, and that is you have been given, as a coach, I will guarantee you have been given this incredible gift of intuition. And that, to me, is that conduit piece of the coaching, being with that person fully and using your intuition to help you help that individual. And that doesn't come from mechanics. It doesn't come from a list of questions. It comes from so deep within that you're connected with that person and you're in that space with them where you only want what is best for them. And Gary, that's what I feel, and I know, it's a knowing for me that that is the essence of that being, really being a great coach.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, here's where we're going to have our first disagreement, my friend.
Let's do it.
I was wondering when the time would come, but I'm going to disagree with you ever so slightly. I have a word that if people don't have, because see, according to my wife, my intuition and intuitive instincts are not as strong as they should be for a coach. So here's what I've replaced that with, and it's similar, but it's not the exact same thing that you said. Some people out there might have a passion to make a difference for other people. Mm-hmm. And they might be passionate, so passionate that they might even be the kind of person that would get in somebody's face and say, no, you didn't say that this was your goal. You've been committing to this, and I'm going to keep my promise to you, and I'm passionate about keeping you on track for your goals and the direction that you committed to me, that you wanted me to hold you accountable to stay on that path. Mm-hmm. So I heard what you said, and I don't disagree from the standpoint of I think there's many, many people, particularly females, they're so loaded with that intuition, they're ready to explode in the presence of some of their clients. But if you don't have that, if you have this passion like I have for making a difference for another person, and you're willing to risk embarrassing yourself or being uncomfortable or having your client be uncomfortable in order for them to hit their goals, in order for them to get what they say they're committed to, mm-hmm. Passion can replace that intuition and can give a person the guile and the impetus to be a really, really great coach.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Gary, when I hear that, it's like two paths leading to the same destination.
Yes.
And as long as we want that individual to reach that destination through their own volition, then it doesn't matter. I see the passion, I see the intuition. They're both parts of being. And the net of it is they both have that purity of intention because we want what is best for that individual, to the point of telling them things no one has ever told them before, and a lot of things they don't want to hear. That's part of our job as a great trusted advisor and a coach. And that's part of that whole accountability piece, and we call it using the velvet whip. That's what we do with people. and caring enough about them to pull out that velvet whip, to show your passion, to use your intuition, to want what is best for that individual.
Absolutely. No, just well spoken, and that's really powerful for people on this call to hear today, Drayton, that there should be an understanding, a methodology, a set of tools that the coach brings with them that is encompassed with this beingness, the stand that they are for the client getting the results that the client says that they want to get. And if you don't understand that, if you haven't gotten that from wherever it is that you got trained or certified, we're being a service to you today to let you understand that there's so much to coaching and so much more. It's not complicated, it's not rocket science, but there's a lot to it that really help people see themselves and hear something for the first time, that their own family, Drayton, their own best friends,
yes,
their spouse is not willing to share with them. That's a blind spot. Take away that blind spot, and their life becomes significant in many, many areas of their life.
Yes. Yes, and in a business context, you help an individual that has 1,000 employees see that blind spot that he or she may have, and all of a sudden the work environment for all these people is so much better, and then those people are better at what they do, and they want to get out of bed and go to work in the morning, and they're better people at home, and it's this huge, we call it the ripple effect that happens with all of this. And that's one thing, Gary, in future calls, I want to talk about the ripple effect, and I want to talk about how working one-on-one with a person can positively affect thousands upon thousands of lives.
Yes.
And we need to see the impact of our work as, oh, we have, 2 individual clients today we're working with. Well, yes, and you have such an impact beyond that, and therefore we have an incredible duty because of those things.
Yeah, so as soon as next month when we have our next call, we'll talk about breakthroughs and the ripple effect that these breakthroughs can have, and what a champion can do for an organization or for a family or for their life that can make a big difference in that ripple effect, and how many people they can touch. Now, in the meantime, I want to hold us accountable to, are we at that point of the hour when we want to
we are.
take some questions?
Let's do that indeed. So folks, you have a little icon on your console that's a little hand. It's a very odd-looking hand, but it's a hand. That's how you raise your hand. If you want to raise your hand, any comments, questions, anything, subjects you would like for us to tackle going forward, remember, we're here to be of service to all of you, and we want to address subjects that are important to you, answer any questions that you have. So tell us right now, just raise your hand, how we might be of service to you guys at this present moment. Who would like to jump up? I see a hand raised here. Okay, Everin, I see you. I'm going to take you off mute and welcome. You're with us, Everin. And you may, if you muted yourself, just *6 to bring yourself back. Everin, do we have you?
I'm losing.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, we got you.
Okay, perfect.
Hi, Everin.
Hi, Gary. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, my friend. How are you? I should tell you, Drayton, Everin is calling in from overseas. He's likely in the country of Turkey right now, calling in.
Oh, that's wonderful. Everin, so glad to have you here. Turkey, that's great.
Thank you very much.
Well, what can we help you with?
Honestly, I sent 2 questions, but for me, how do you see the future of the industry? What's your opinion about it? This is what I want to ask.
Okay, say it again for me, Everin. About what in particular?
How do you see the future of the coaching industry in the world?
The future of it.
Okay. Yeah, because I know in States you are dealing with that about 30 years, but in Turkey or in Asia, it's really new for us.
Mm-hmm. You know, Everin, and Gary, I'll just jump in and then certainly piggyback. That's a big, big subject, and certainly one we're going to be tackling. I see the future as incredibly bright. I see it almost as this kind of the ripple in the pond that has happened starting in North America, that's gone to the UK and continues to spread across Europe and Asia. It's more in its infancy, but it's sweeping the world. And what I see at this moment is that that point of acceleration has become very pronounced, and it's going to continue to accelerate and to grow. And I know that the opportunities are just going to be immense worldwide. Gary, what do you think?
I'm going to, you know me, I love to talk, Everin, so I'm going to be as concise and brief as I can without getting on my soapbox here. Make room for other people to call and ask questions. I'm going to resist answering the question from a standpoint of my opinion, but I'm going to say to you, I am absolutely stunned when I've done some research into how many coaches, new coaches there are in South America, in Indonesia, in different parts of Africa, the Middle East. I mean, Drayton, it's overwhelming the amount of contacts that we're getting from all over the world. And a lot of third world countries, a lot of countries like Turkey where it's very, very new. We're just getting lots and lots of interest and emails and inquiries and people wanting to get our products. And I'm going to say, Drayton, in the last 90 days, the interest from outside of North America has been 400 to 600% that it was prior to that, the year before that. So
I would agree.
Increase.
Yeah, I would agree. And what I find fascinating is we had a couple of programs ago, we had a lady from Ghana, and she was leading the charge to get coaching into the government of Ghana because no one had even heard of it. And we had a lady in the last class from Trinidad and Tobago, and she might be with us tonight. Leah might be with us. And I see, you know, in island communities like that, and South Africa, and what's going on certainly in Australia, I put in the same bucket probably as North America, Australia and New Zealand. And it is growing, folks. And the demand is so great that we cannot keep up with it. As strange as that may sound to some of you who don't have a full practice, that's the reality of coaching today.
Great question, Everin.
Yeah, great question, Everin. And we'll certainly get into that a little deeper as we move forward too, Everin. So thank you. We appreciate it.
I have one more question for follow-up. Am I allowed to ask you?
Oh, you're allowed, Everin. Go ahead.
Thank you. Okay, I have to, you know, I want to ask, okay, we see the future is bright for business coach, for all kind of coaching, but as I know, and please correct me if I'm mistaken, there is no regulation, there is no an organization for that. Everyone who's assuming himself or herself as a coach, okay, the people see, okay, this is a coach. In the future, what do you think? Is going to be an organization for regulate or any regulation for this sector, for the industry? Because this is the biggest missing part of the industry, what I believe, because there is no regulation, and if there is no regulation, it's always, you know, it's crowded, everybody is trying to do something. We don't know the standard of the industry. This is the problem what I see, but what do you think about it?
You want to go first, Gary, and then I'll jump in?
One of the things, Everin, that we want to do is to start that conversation right now, and it's a difficult conversation because I, for one, don't like to involve governments in industry and governments, and I'll speak for my country, United States. We have a tendency to mess up things when the government gets involved. So I agree. I think there should be some standards. I think there should be some understandings and some regulation at some level. I'm not sure where that begins because it would obviously be different for each country. But I would say this, is that there's a lot of false trainings and a lot of false prophets and a lot of myths that are being circulated around the industry, and Drayton and I intend to address those things and see if we can help the industry move in a much more healthy and powerful direction for all of us.
Yeah, Yeah, and Everett, I'll echo that, and for everyone as well. It's a subject that Gary and I are very passionate about in terms of having that discussion, and the role of the ICF or some of the other organizations that have popped up. It is so incredibly fragmented at this point, and it's one of the things that concerns and frustrates us at this point is that there's not a cohesive movement, consistent movement that is afoot at this moment. It's very fragmented. It's very, there's fiefdoms all over the place, people trying to carve out their niches and figure out, you know, what their core audience is. So there's not an easy answer to that. The only thing we can say is it is evolving, and we want a further discussion on how best to address this, not just in North America and in English-speaking countries, but worldwide. We need to get this figured out, and that's part of all of our responsibility to take the lead as coaches to make sure that our industry moves forward with its head held high and we're consistent and professional. So great questions, Everett, and we'll circle back to those. And we've got just a few more minutes now. Other questions? I've got some questions on the board here. Greg, I see a question. I think we had a question from you. Let me see what else we've got here. And Herbert, I see one from you here. Tell that to the recruiting industry in Canada. Do you want to enlighten us about that? I'll take you off mute here, Hubert. You with us? You may have yourself muted there, Hubert.
So what would he do to unmute himself? Is there?
It's a star. If he star sixes, he can get
star
unmuted.
6.
Yeah, star 6. Yeah.
Now there's an interesting point. There's another industry, Drayton, who, as far as I know, they are not regulated. The recruiting industry.
Yeah.
A great parallel. I had 25 years of doing this, Drayton. That had not occurred to me.
Yeah, well, you think about the training industry and the recruiting industry and the speaking industry. You know, speaking industry has some certain standards and trainings, and the NSA is very powerful. But there are a lot of different industries we can look at that have placed for us that we may want to emulate. It's certainly an option.
Yes, yes. I think it's worth us, if we don't have other questions right now, I think it's worth us closing out with a little discussion about regulating the industry and where the people that can get on our call and share their concerns, we can create a voice for the industry, and we can have future calls, maybe have guests, Drayton, from some of these organizations and have them explain themselves as to why they operate in a certain fashion and how they could maybe improve or create some industry-wide standards. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, I like it, Gary, and it's one of the things, folks, this format is going to be fluid, and we're going to address your needs as best we can, and to do that we need to hear from you. And we've talked about having guests on, and I like it. Maybe we have people from the ICF and some others that come on board and entertain questions and pick their brains, because we certainly don't want to judge, and we want to hear. We want to be open and take the best path for ourselves in the industry. So we want to keep this fluid. We want to have conversations. We're going to send you the link to the recording today. And we're going to send you, that will be posted on a page where you can put comments in and engage in these discussions. And that's really what we want to see. Carry it forward from here and work with your fellow coaches to have these conversations, and let's make sure that we're taking ownership and responsibility around these things and keep this momentum going. And as we said, we'll keep doing this as long as you guys are getting value out of it and we're addressing a need. So with that, Gary, just being respectful of time, why don't we wrap it up? And any closing thoughts on your end, Gary?
Yeah, we implied this, but we didn't say it. Ladies and gentlemen, we want to be the stewards of these calls. We don't want to make this all about Drayton and Gary. So please participate in discussions offline and send your questions in or topics that you want to see addressed, particularly if we can see a trend or a group of people that want to talk about certain things or maybe have suggestions for areas where we can help better the industry, make it better. And again, this could be the beginning of a movement, a group of people that instead of saying, well, this group is telling us where the industry is going and we don't like that, rather than be victims, we can be leaders and we can take ownership of where our industry goes by calling out and creating a trend and some standards that might be acceptable and favorable to everyone, not just to one group of people.
Yeah, I like that, Gary. I like that a lot. And let's keep that discussion going. Use that as a catalyst to engage with your colleagues in the format that we're going to give to you. So we'll get that recording out to you very shortly and send you to that page where you can post any comments that you choose. And please tell your friends about this. We'd love to get more and more people. We'd love to get this into the thousands, if not tens of thousands, because that will give us the momentum that we need to affect huge change. And that's what we're all here to do. So on behalf of Gary and myself, thank you. It was a privilege to spend time with you. This time absolutely flew, Gary. It's amazing.
It sure did.
And we look forward to the third Tuesday of every month, same time, 4 o'clock Eastern. And again, we'll have the recording there. And if we may be of service in any way, just let us know. There will be a contact link on the page we're going to send to you. And if we can help out in any way, we're happy to do so. And thank you for your time, and look forward to hearing your voices this time next month. Until then, you guys take good care.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.